What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, before we begin, it turns out in the previous video, and I just found this out today, I made a stupid goof. Instead of using the 2025 invite when mentioning tomorrow's Apple event, I mistakenly used last year's invite instead of this year's. So, stupid mistake. Just putting that out there, and please do forgive me for that. Okay, so now that I have officially gotten that out of the way, it's time to talk about what to expect with the iPhone 17 lineup, alongside maybe other products that will be announced at this event. The more detailed video as compared to the previous one. The previous one is more or less touching up on some of the bigger rumors that we got about it, or at the very least, the ones that we keep hearing about. So it didn't really go through everything about it, so to speak. And, based on the rumors that we're seeing, I was giving my, initial thoughts on what I think about the device. Nothing super intriguing personally, but that's mainly because I only touched up on a few things and mainly covered, one of the big stuff that was already being talked about with regards to the iPhone 17 lineup. But I will admit this, it's looking a little bit better than what we saw with the iPhone 16s last year. Even if some of the physical changes are, minimal at best, I'll admit that there are quite a few things that I personally am looking forward to. So here is everything you need to know about the iPhone 17, the iPhone 17 Pro, and Pro Max. I'm grouping them together because they're pretty much the same device, as well as the brand new iPhone 17 Air that a lot of people are hyped up about. So I'm pretty much going to be reiterating what I said on my thoughts video, but telling you guys everything you need to know about this year's iPhone lineup. Yes, including even some of the little things. So I'll just start things off with some of the smaller products that we're going to be seeing in this keynote. Brush through them. Now, last year, we did get a new Apple Watch, obviously, because iPhone keynotes also include new Apple Watches to go with them. But last year, we didn't get a new Apple Watch Ultra or new AirPods. Now, according to Mark Gurman, we should be getting those products this year in this keynote. That being the Apple Watch Ultra 3 and the new third generation AirPods Pro. Now, it's, not that often that I get hyped up about new AirPods, because all they really are just, wireless earbuds that you just put in your ear when you're out on a biking trip or you're out on a jog. But this year, Apple is going to include something pretty interesting, and I'm pretty sure there are some earbuds that already do this, but Apple is expected to include in this next generation of AirPods Pro heart rate monitoring technology, similar to what we already see on the Apple Watch, including, from what we're hearing, using LED optical sensors that can track your heart rate through blood flow in the ear canal. It's also rumored to have better active noise cancellation, more improved sound quality, and a faster H3 audio chip. Again, all stuff that we heard from the ever-reliable Mark Gurman. Other reports include temperature monitoring capabilities, real-time translation via Apple Intelligence, and that's pretty much it. So, for a pair of wireless earbuds, these sound like good welcome improvements, especially compared to the previous generation. So surprisingly, a lot of stuff with the AirPods Pro 3. Also, what's getting an upgrade this year are the Apple Watches. Now, before I talk about the Ultra 3, I want to talk about the Series 11 before I do so that way I can give you a little bit more of an idea. Now, Apple Watch updates aren't really that too big. Usually, it's health-related upgrades every time a new watch comes out, whether that be an EKG, blood oxygen monitoring, blood pressure, sleep tracking. Every year, Apple Watch usually gets like a major health feature to come along with the upgraded Apple Watch, in an attempt to get people to upgrade. This year's Apple Watch is expected to come with blood pressure tracking, but obviously it's not like actual blood pressure monitoring. It's not gonna squeeze your wrist for 30 seconds and then let it go, and then boom, there's your measurement. No, it's not gonna be like that. It's gonna be a little different, but it will have the technologies to detect things like hypertension and whatnot. So blood pressure monitoring is the major health feature that we will be seeing in the Series 11. Of course, on top of that, there's gonna be a faster S11 chip, 5G capabilities, all the good stuff. Those will also be present in the Apple Watch Ultra 3. We didn't get an upgraded Ultra Watch last year, but this year we will be getting it. the Apple Watch Ultra 3. This will be the first ever Apple Watch to support satellite connectivity. So if you're like in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, you might be in the middle of the Everglades or somewhere in Yosemite or I don't know, the Mojave Desert, you can still be able to keep in contact with your Apple Watch just by using satellite connections. Those features have been around since 2022 with emergency SOS via satellite, roadside assistance, and a bunch of other features that are useful for satellite. Something that I think is one of the most useful features, especially if you're in an area that is prone to hurricanes, like I am. If you are in a no service zone, you're fucked. So it's always convenient to be able to have like satellite connectivity to keep in touch with people, or in case, God forbid, something happens, at least it's there for you at your convenience. So, the Ultra Watch being geared for those like super adventurous people, with the extra battery life, the extra ruggedness. You want to go out and do your exercises in the middle of the forest if you're that adventurous. That's usually what the Ultra Watches are normally geared towards. Those types of people, and the Ultra 3 will be coming with those same improvements, plus the satellite connectivity. Okay, so now that I've brushed up on all the non-iPhone related products that we will be seeing in this keynote, now it's time to shift our focus to the main focus of this event, the iPhone 17 lineup. Now, like I said, this improvement so far is a lot more intriguing than what we saw last year, with the exception of the 17, which only has minor updates. At least the Pro models this year are making an attempt to at least be different. Yes, the design hasn't changed too much, but the design tweaks to it shows us that there is at least one major improvement that we are going to see. But we'll start things off with the regular iPhone 17. I'll do this with the order of what I think Apple will do to announce some of these products. They'll start with the regular model and then make their way over to the Pro model. So let's start with the regular model, the iPhone 17. Now, the difference between last year's iPhone 16 and this year's iPhone 17 is almost as comparable as the differences between the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 16 Pro, which means same exact design with only minor improvements in the insides. However, there are some physical tweaks that you will be able to notice when you look at the devices on the front. For instance, the display is going to get slightly bigger. We're moving on from a 6.1-inch display to a 6.3-inch display. Now, the form factor of the device is going to stay the same, but it's just going to have thinner bezels, much like the difference between the 15 Pro and the 16 Pro. Same size, same design, slightly bigger screen. So all your iPhone 16 cases that you get should be able to work on this iPhone 17. However, the screen size is not the only thing that is changing with the 17. In fact, it's getting something that the Pro models have had since 2021, ProMotion, and an always-on display. So instead of being a fixed 60Hz screen that we've had for almost as long as the iPhone has been out, the 17 is finally getting the 120Hz ProMotion display that was first found in the iPads in 2017, made its way to the Pro iPhones in 2021, and now all iPhones across the board should be having this 120Hz display. And it's ProMotion, which means it can change its frame rate. So it's not like a fixed 120Hz screen. It can switch to 60 FPS, 24 FPS, 30 FPS, and it can go even as low as 5 FPS, which allows for it to have an always-on display. It's the same reason why when the Apple Watch first got an always-on display, it would drop its frame rate from 60 FPS all the way to 5 FPS. So the iPhones are able to do the same thing. It can go all the way up to 120 FPS, all the way down to 5 FPS, allowing for an always-on display that doesn't go too hard on your battery. And that should be coming on all devices, not just the regular 17, obviously the 17 Pros, and the 17 Air, which we will get into. So brand new display compared to the 16. The display also will be getting some kind of anti-reflective coating, so the display will be less reflective when you're out on sunlight. And the camera right on the front will be going from a 12 megapixel camera to an all-new 24 megapixel front-facing camera. So your selfies would look much better with it. Back cameras, on the other hand, nothing too major. We're going to be getting the same 48 megapixel fusion camera. The second camera, which is the ultra wide, I think will also be going up to a 48 megapixel as well. The 16 Pro also had the same upgrade too. Inside, we're going to be getting the usual yearly upgrades that we normally get. It's going to come with an Apple A19 chip, which is expected to be manufactured under TSMC's advanced 3nm process, offering improved performance and efficiency. 30% compared to its predecessor, and that's comparing it to the regular A18. We're going to get into the A19 Pro later on. And for a first time, it will include an Apple-designed Wi-Fi chip. Now, this is something that we've been hearing for the entirety of the year, something that all iPhones will be getting this year, an Apple-designed Wi-Fi chip. Apple has already designed their own modems for the iPhone 16e, which the 17 Air will be getting, but it will be getting this new Wi-Fi chip that Apple is designing, but it won't be getting the new C1 modem. So this phone is still going to have Snapdragon. It's rumored to start around 256 gigabytes or maybe 512. My bet, because of the rumored starting price, I think it will start at 512 gigabytes of RAM, so a half a terabyte. And the rumored price is going to be $850. Youch. So it's a noticeable upgrade compared to the 16. Well, granted, it doesn't look like that. Face value, it's the same fucking shit, but it's actually at least getting fucking something that a lot of base model Android phones have been getting for God knows how long. So you know what? At least there are some improvements. After all, the new Pixel 10 looks exactly like the Pixel 9, yet nobody is batting an eye about it. But the 16 and 17 aren't necessarily big upgrades. They're noticeable, but they're not big, especially when it comes to the design, looking pretty much exactly the same thing. However, the Pro models have an even more noticeable upgrade. And at least they're trying to showcase that with that all-new elongated camera bump that they have. Let's keep the same stovetop bowling ball camera layout and just move everything to the other side of the device, making the camera bump much bigger. Probably going to lead to problems with table wobble. Now, I've pointed this out before in my earlier video. The reason why the camera cutout looks exactly the same, yet it's much bigger, is because the Pro models, the 17 Pro and the 17 Pro Max, have significant improvements to its camera. Instead of one camera being 48 megapixels, or just two cameras being 48 megapixels, all three of those cameras are going to be 48 megapixels, and they're going to be much bigger sensors. And the telephoto camera in particular is going to get the most massive upgrade of them all, which is expected to get an 8 times optical zoom, paired not only with a tetraprism setup, but it can also move, imitating a moving lens, allowing for a continuous optical zoom depending on the focal length. So yes, you heard me correctly, this is an 8 times optical zoom. Now, it's not confirmed that both Pro models are going to be getting it. I heard one report saying that it's going to be only on the Pro Max, and multiple others saying that both Pro models will be getting this 8x optical zoom. So 48 megapixel telephoto camera plus 8 times optical zoom, larger sensor, improved tetraprism cutout, a physical moving camera. If you add all of that together with the current layout that the iPhone 16 Pro has, there's just not enough room for all of that technology. So what do? You take the microphone, the LiDAR sensor, and the flash, move them all the way to the other side of the phone. There you go. You now created more space. And that is exactly why the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max look the way it does with these leaked pictures that we've seen. Now, we've first seen this design through the one and only John Prosser, the same dude who leaked iOS 26. And now that we know iOS 26 looks the way it does, and now that we know that this is the actual real design of the iPhone 17, including both Pro models and the Air, he's right now getting sued by Apple because of it. Guess now we know that that's the actual design of the iPhone 17 Pro. Initially, I did not like it. I preferred having 3 horizontal cameras laid across one another, similar to what we saw on the Pixel 9 Pro. I no longer wanted to see that bowling ball camera layout ever again. But, the more I started looking at these leaked pictures and all these concepts, not gonna lie, the design started to grow on me more and more the more I looked at it. I started to understand why they kept the camera layout, because again, spatial video, you have to imitate the human eyes, something that I also mentioned in my previous video, but also because the telephoto lens is getting those major improvements. That requires all the flashes, microphones, and the LiDAR scanners to be moved to the other side, make more room for that telephoto improvement. Now, that's not the only major upgrade the camera is going to be getting. The main camera, which Apple calls the Fusion camera, on the Pro models supposedly will be getting a variable aperture, which is something that we haven't seen on a smartphone since the Galaxy S9 in 2018. So you can change the f-stop of the main camera. Nowadays, most smartphones contain like a fixed aperture, so you can't really widen or shrink the lens of your camera. But the S9 was one of the first smartphones to include a variable aperture. You can switch between like f1.5 to f2.5, if I remember correctly. And they unfortunately took it out on the next generation of their Galaxies, and they haven't brought that feature back since. Samsung, please bring that feature back. But that was one of my favorite features of the Galaxy S9 camera. And it also came with other cool shit like 1000 frames per second slow motion. So the iPhone will be getting a variable aperture. Just don't know if they're just gonna give just two options of what you should set the f-stop to, or if it's just gonna be a continuous, moving thing like a physical camera does. And, as a professional photographer, oh my fucking god, I will bankrupt myself for this. So variable aperture is coming to the main lens. I'm not so sure if it's going to come with 960 FPS super slow motion. That's more of a wish list feature, not really a confirmed feature. I'm still hoping for that, fingers crossed. And finally, 8K video recording is coming to the iPhone. Something that they should have added at least onto the iPhone 14 Pro, but it's coming to the iPhone 17 Pro. I don't know if it's just going to be 8K 30 FPS, or it's going to bring out the big guns and it's going to go straight to 8K 60 FPS. That's probably going to require more than a terabyte of storage if I'm being honest. So, big fucking improvements to the camera, and I mean big improvements to the camera on the 17 Pros. Again, same 24 megapixel front-facing camera, same display and whatnot. Now, in the inside is where things get a little interesting, and a lot of it is more charging related. In the iPhone 15 lineup, we were introduced to USB-C. Thank you, EU. The Pro models were able to support USB 3.0, and USB-C allows for faster charging. So the charging speed for the iPhone Pro models, all of which have been vastly improved, both wired and wireless. For starters, you're going to be having 35-watt fast charging with the iPhone 17 Pro, both Pro and Pro Max. And there's also going to be a brand new 25-watt Qi 2 wireless charging support, so improved MagSafe. This new wireless charging standard will also allow you to, charge your AirPods, even charge your Apple Watch just by placing it on the back of the phone. So bilateral wireless charging. So you can basically use your phone as like a mini portable wireless charger. Thunderbolt support, I'm not so sure. That's been rumored. I mean, if it's going to record 8K video, you have to include Thunderbolt in there. But USB-C continues to improve, and MagSafe also continues to improve. There will also be vapor chamber cooling in the iPhone Pro models, because, you got a high-performance device. 12 gigs of RAM as opposed to 8 gigs of RAM. Perfect for Apple Intelligence, although, again, it's completely fucking useless, so who even gives a shit? But the A19 Pro is going to be more of the higher end of the A19. The A19 Pro is expected to come with a 15% faster CPU performance and a 25% improved GPU performance and efficiency when compared to the A18 Pro. Again, these are just speculations, so results may vary, but this is rumored to be one of Apple's most powerful chips on a smartphone. And, with Apple and how they make their CPUs, they're definitely one of the best. Why do you think they switch over from Intel to Apple Silicon on their Mac lineup? So in terms of performance with the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, it should be awesome. Now, before we move on to the Air, since there is a lot to discuss with the Air, time to bid farewell to the short-lived titanium iPhone. Yep, that's right. No more titanium on the Pro iPhones. They're going right back to aluminum. Now, I don't know really how you guys feel about having titanium. I personally think it's a nice welcome change. It feels nice on the hand, nice, lightweight, durable, but it's also pretty expensive. And in some leaked concepts that we've been seeing, there's only going to be like a section of the Pro models that is going to be like glass, almost resembling like a battery pack for an iPhone. So it's probably going to be mostly aluminum with just this one glass back, almost like a two-tone type of design. So I can see why they're switching to aluminum, because that's already too much titanium. And also, again, despite being a Pro model, it's still not going to get Apple's shiny new C1 modem. It's going to get the latest Snapdragon X85 instead. But it does pack a really good battery, up to 5,000 milliamp hours. So just like with the performance, battery life should also be spectacular with this device too. It's rumored to start at a half a terabyte, and the starting price will be $1,050. And that's for the base Pro model. The Pro Max will be $1,300 at the minimum. US dollars, not including tax. Now, you can blame the tariffs for this or other things, but my theory is that it's the storage capacity, the base storage capacity that is going up. That's why it's getting a lot more expensive. And then we have one more thing. Notice how I completely didn't talk about the iPhone 17 Plus or an iPhone 17 mini. That's because we're getting something entirely new in the iPhone lineup. A thinner, slim iPhone 17 Air. Now, this is the one that everyone is the most hyped up for because it is a completely new design and it's something that is not like anything Apple has ever released before. Sure, they have been making thin devices before, like the iPad Air, MacBook Air, all this other stuff. They made the iPhone 5 incredibly thin, the iPhone 6 being thin too. But the 17 Air takes thinness to a whole new level. It is expected to be one of Apple's thinnest products ever made at 5.5 millimeters thin. And despite being that thin, it is supposed to be as powerful as the iPhone 17 Pro. We're talking the same amount of RAM, 12 gigabytes. It's going to have the same A19 Pro chip as the Pro models, and it's still going to have a good battery despite its size. And that's because it's getting the same modem as the iPhone 16e, the C1. Apple's C1 chip has a pretty big advantage over Snapdragon, and that is power efficiency. Sure, it's not as powerful as the Snapdragon X85, which is Qualcomm's latest 5G modem. Those will be reserved for the Pro models, while the X82 will be on the regular 17. But the C1 modem, despite lacking advanced 5G features, has that advantage of being power efficient and helping with battery life, because you pretty much have to with a device that thin. Keep in mind, this will be Apple's thinnest product ever. The thinner a device is, the worse its battery life is going to be because you're just so limited on what you can do and how much you can pack in that device. So with a combination of hardware and software, you can at least mitigate those flaws. The C1, with its focus on power efficiency and battery life, will be able to help out with that, and at least make its battery life in line with some of the Pro models. Another limitation is that it's only going to have one camera, so no spatial video, no optical zoom, although it is a 48 megapixel camera, and we've seen just how capable one single 48 megapixel camera is. It's already a good camera by itself. It will have some of the same Pro features like 8K video recording and all that. The only downside is that it's just only one camera, but it is a good one. However, you will be missing out on some of the extra Pro features like ultra-wide camera and the telephoto. The screen size will be between the plus size and the regular size 6.3-inch screen, so around 6.5 to 6.6 inches. That's the estimated size of this display. Remember, this is going to be the one replacing the plus size 17, so it will be bigger, but it won't be too big. So, an all-new design, thinner design, fancy new features, exclusive stuff that won't be coming to the rest of the lineup, like a brand new modem, and based on the leaked pictures, it's going to come in some pretty colors. Sadly, no product red. So I would not be surprised if this is going to be the best seller of the lineup. To the point where, hot take, I don't think the 17 Air is going to be available on time. There could be a teeny tiny chance that we might have to wait until October or November for the full launch of it. Now again, it's a bit of a hot take. Chances of that happening are 0.001%, but I still think Apple is going to underestimate how many people are going to be interested in the 17 Air because it's just something brand new, and it's priced reasonably too. It's rumored to be one of the cheapest on the lineup at $800, while the regular 17 is an extra $50. And the base model Pro is rumored to be going up to at least $1,100. Again, you can blame the tariffs, which is contributing to the price bump, but it's also because the base storage capacity is also going up too. All iPhones should be able to start at 512 gigabytes at the lowest. My one concern is how the software will work on these new iPhones. Now, all of them should be running iOS 26 and its all-new liquid glass design, and as someone who has beta tested iOS 26 since the first beta, I have ran into so many issues with it, ranging from animation glitches, frame rate drops, overheating, and battery drain. So if you get any of these iPhone 17 models and you end up running into these issues, don't be surprised. Now, I will admit that it has gotten a lot better over time. spin a lot faster, but I'm still facing countless overheating and battery problems from the liquid glass design, which I think contributes to it. And I especially feel sorry to the bunch who are going to be getting the iPhone 17 Air. And this will be a huge problem, because I really don't think these battery drain, overheating, and frame rate drops are going to fully go away until, I don't know, when 26.3 is fully launched. I mean, have you seen the way Apple Intelligence was rolled out? We might be seeing the same thing with liquid glass, except these are more performance-related issues, rather than standalone features or aesthetics. So tomorrow's a big day. New products, new Apple Watches, new AirPods, and especially new iPhones. With all the rumors that we've been seeing, there is a lot to be excited for. Hopefully the changes are a lot better than last year's. But with Mark Gurman saying all of these rumors, all signs point to this being very exciting. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button down below. And if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications. Don't forget to follow me on all my social medias, links are in the description below, including to my X, which should be the first link in the Where to Find Me category, as well as to my Blue Sky, if applicable. Both links will be in a pinned comment as well. I post memes, thoughts, updates, and everything else miscellaneous there. My DMs are open, so if you want to suggest me some news tips, video ideas, and maybe even your own theories, don't be shy to suggest them to me on either site. And share this video with your friends, families, boyfriends, girlfriends, enemies, whomever. Definitely helps me out a lot, helps the video grow, and helps grow the channel if you were to share this with whomever you know. And of course, at the end of every video, I love to hand the conversation right back down to you. So, are you excited for this keynote? What do you think about all the rumors? Are you excited for the iPhone 17 lineup? Are you excited for something else? What else do you want to see in this keynote? What is your personal wish list to see on an iPhone 17? Is there anything that I've missed or got wrong? Again, let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section down below as always. And of course, as per usual, like, subscribe, ring notifications, and until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, talk soon, you're awesome.